if you cut past all the propaganda, past all even the truth of the information, so to speak, it doesn't matter what it is, if you cut past all the clutter that is coming with the modern day life is not that bad. In fact, it is one to be poor or rich, and another to be simple or live complex. And the simpler life tends to always be the one that wins. And so it's important to understand that we live in such a world that we can complain, we can look at all the complexities, and we can report what is bad, whether it's truthful or not, and so forth. Or we can simply live life because we have so much that we never had before. That if any of our ancestors looked at what we had, they'd say, why aren't you just taking that in and enjoying it? Why are you not doing that? Isn't that what life is all about? We struggled so you can make it here. Why do you have to keep struggling? Right? And so you may have this conflict with yourself, and this includes myself, okay? Not projecting, but just saying it as it is. One may find themselves questioning, what action should I take, and should it conflict with my own duty of living life? Do I have to go out of my external boundaries to go help the external world with external problems when I can simply live my life right now and have fun? The truth is, what you want to do, this should be your goal among taking action. And I emphasize this heavily, which is why I'm making this small, short, this to-the-point message. I want you to have fun while you do it. Find ways that will make you enjoy the process of spreading what you believe is important, but while enjoying life and while living it. Because you cannot run yourself down every day and keep thinking about these external problems and everything that's happening. It's better to get yourself away from the clutter once you've already established a universal, grounded, rooted condition. You don't need a single news outlet. None. It's all worthless when you recognize those roots. Because when you have the ability to question, right? When you have the ability to plant food, you're no longer dependent on someone to give you food. You start becoming self-sustainable. So the same thing works with news. You no longer need news from other people. You can make history. You don't need to receive history and keep learning about it. Don't get stuck in those loops and those echo chambers. Have fun, start doing it, and just get out there and enjoy life. That's what life is about. It's not meant to be spent on technology. It's not meant to be spent on the media. It's not meant to be spent anywhere online. It doesn't matter where it is, what excuse you may have. And don't make your job your life either. But enjoy what you're doing, and thus, is it really a job? Then no. Is it really a chore? Is it really a burden? No. It all should be part of life. Life should be life, and you should be grateful to live it, seeing the pattern of death, seeing everything that's happening, and living at such times where, things can happen. It should only make you more grateful, should only push you more forward. And if that is not the case for you, then something is not right, and something needs to be fixed. But that can be fixed, and you need to know that. It can be completely enhanced to optimize your living, to make it more sustainable. So that way, yes, I can grow food of my own. Yes, I can do this. It takes time. It's not an instant thing like anything is. Everything is a process in life. So I don't expect you to do it right away. This is something we all must learn through time. None of us have the exception or the perfect model of anything. Nobody's the perfect model of example of being either. There's so many things we can talk about when it comes to action. Why do you think I made all these videos? And I will continue to, but it's not going to get in the way of my life. If I see something that's really important, I'm going to say it. Maybe it's really easy to just have a podcast like this and get them out to the world one way or another. And so be it. Do what you enjoy. Do something that is not easy, but something that helps you. And oftentimes, the thing that will help you is including some level of challenge. Okay, so nothing is easy in life. Nothing should be, at least. But things get easier over time as you practice, and that should become common knowledge. The conflict often comes of the future. Don't let it be of the past. It's for the future for good reason, because you're moving forward with the future to the future with the present. And so focus on the present and build up your resources. You may have some fears of the future, but keep moving presently. And what does it mean to be present? It means taking it in, living life as it is. So combine the inaction with action. Combine the internal and the external. Do not falter. Do not fall to certain extremes. We must have these reminders in life, right? Simple things. The most simple things is anyways what we're upholding. You know, one wants to say, I'm an anarchist, I'm leaning toward this way, that way. None of it matters. One wants to say, oh, we can just limit government. None of that matters. And none of it ever mattered to any revolution either. They all wanted freedom. They just wanted freedom. Stick by the principles. Stick to the nature. You simply want your nature. You simply want freedom. Say it as it is. Do not mask it or label it or put it under any sort of scheme or schism. You do not have to do that. Nature calls for that simplicity where you don't have to label under every single book that was created out of the modern times of complex detail. And you can make excuses for that too, and now all of a sudden your brain is venturing off into something no tribe or anybody in nature would even speak of. Okay? I'm not saying that something is unnatural is not right, but come on, use your common sense. What is natural sustains, what is natural optimizes your living. So, it's up to you. It's your choice here, okay? Just understand this, right? Once we all know our rights, the game is over. When we know what statism is, and we have knowledge of our own rights, everything's over. Everything falls into place naturally. You don't have to worry about every little complex detail, anything else. Everything gets solved simply with that grounding foundation set in stone. Doesn't matter what anyone believes, doesn't matter what anyone does, as long as everyone has that knowledge of their rights, and statism, government would never grow. There's no such thing as limited government because it has no principles, essentially. And it really doesn't make any sense when you sit down and think about it. Oh, okay, so less government. So then what government does exist? What are you talking about? So a man still has the right to rule over another human being? What principles do you have here? And limited government has always turned to corrupt government. What about the nature of power? Power corrupts naturally. Folks don't consider all these aspects, but you don't have to consider all these aspects. Follow the simple nature and stick to it. Like I said, freedom, nature, humanity. There's nothing more universal, more binding than that. If you stick with any of the other terms that are labeling us under certain things, we're automatically creating division by our very nature, no matter our intention. Okay, so stick to the true roots. Stick to the simple premises that will give you the best of deeds across all fields. And so, just a general message here. With interpretation, of course, question it on your own behalf. If you want, leave a comment about what your thoughts are upon this. But I wanted to keep that pretty simple, clear-cut, to the point. And as for anger and everything, I made a podcast about that. As for freedom and everybody seeking, I made a podcast about that. As for all the details about how everything moves up in the future, if you're really worried, I made a whole presentation about that. Nita.1/advanced perspective. And that has a bunch of action steps. I've made sheets where you can look at all the action steps, so about 310. I've made a whole dictionary around natural law and nature is the answer. Nita.1/sheets. There is a lot out there, and look, I encourage you to check it all out. Nita.1/list. Okay, so Nita.1/lists will give you a bunch of stuff as well, and including my latest video, which is 144 reasons why government should not and does not exist. We can always spark this conversation in many different ways, and it is not limited to just one way, and you must know that. And nothing should ever be limited to one ideology. That should be given and known, right? And that should be common sense within itself. But if you're losing the very ability to have common sense, losing the very ability to think, losing the very ability to see, the very simple natures, then is it bad to say, well, that's what we need, and then someone will say that you're pushing one ideology. No, it's simply saying we need to recognize what is nature, what is all around us. It isn't an ideology. It's above any ideology. It's not an ideology. It's the grand macrocosm above anything. And that's why it's so hard to see. And that's why it is so obvious to see at the same time. So, question, right? What is above God? What is above nature? Nothing. And so, if you can seek that, you will more likely align your actions toward the truth. And that is what we're all trying to do as humanity. Any concerns? I've tried to address them all. I've thought of everything. I spent hours and hours and hours and hours, days on end, about configuring every little bit of this blueprint. But it is set in stone and it can be carried out. I just can't be the only one doing it. So let's all live life. Let's all be happy, and thus we'll be healthy, and we will strive on and actually succeed. Remember, we can only grow. And that's what we must keep in mind. We can only grow as long as we are going out and doing it, and we'll never fall. And with that growth, that means eventually, one day, even if it takes 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, it will get done. As long as we stick by our nature and we still have it. We still have the ability to think, still have the ability to speak. And those are the very things that we're upholding. So is that bad? Is that of one ideology? Is that pushing my ideas on anyone? No, it's simply recognizing what we all have and that we should keep it. That's it. Innate, self-evident truths. Stick by it. Thank you. This is Corey Angelot. Nature is the answer. Nita.1.